Hello all. Today you will learn very interesting topic of Python, that is multi-level inheritance, which is the one of the important topic of Python object-oriented concept. Hi, this is Krupali from KnowHow Academy. So let's start learning with me. Before going ahead, let me list out the topic which you will learn from this video. First, you will learn why there is a need of multi-level inheritance in Python. Second, you will learn what exactly multi-level inheritance using real-life scenario. Third, you will learn practical implementation of multi-level inheritance. Fourth, you will get an idea what kind of interview question that can be asked from this topic. So stay tuned till end of the video so you will learn everything about multi-level inheritance. So let's start with the first topic, why there is a need of multi-level inheritance. Let me explain you with the real life scenario. Imagine you are building a system where you need to manage the data of employee, also you need to manage the data of manager, and you need to manage the data of project manager also. Now, what will you do in a traditional way? In a traditional way, you will make one class which is considering employee class. You will make a second class that is considering it as a manager class. And you will make a third class which is considered it as a project manager class. And you will assign certain number of attributes in the class, as well as you will assign method in the class. But if you closely look into that, every class has a common attribute called employee name and employee ID. So here, these two attributes are redundant in this three class. So how you can remove the redundancy of this attribute? So you can remove the redundancy of this attribute using multi-level inheritance. That's why there is a need of multi-level inheritance in Python. So second thing, you need to understand what is multi-level inheritance. So multi-level inheritance is a type of inheritance where a class can be derived from another derived class. Now after listening this, you may confused what I am trying to say. So let me explain you with the diagram. Assume that this is a class A, which is a parent class of class B. Now here class B is also a parent class of class C. So this way you can say that a level is created. So class A is at top of the level, class B is at the middle of the level, and class C at the lower side of the level. So this is a technical idea behind multi-level inheritance. Now let's implement multi-level inheritance in Python using real-life scenario. So first of all, let me explain you the scenario. As I mentioned you in the first topic, that what if you want to manage the data of general employee, project manager and manager. So is in previous approach you will make three different class, but to remove the code redundancy, you can implement multi-level inheritance in this concept. So how you can do that? Let me show you practical way. So first of all, you should understand what can be the topmost class for the scenario. So first of all, I will create employee class, which is a general class that contain common attribute like name and employee ID. So let me create that. So right now I'm not creating an entire attribute, I'm just creating a class structure. Then I can create manager class, and that manager class will inherit employee class. Now here in the second level, I'm creating a project manager class which inherit manager class. So here you can see that this is the first level, this is the second level, and this is the third level. So here this is the general structure of creating multi-level inheritance. So here manager class is a child class for the employee class, and project manager class is a child class for the manager class. So manager class is a parent class for the project manager class, and employee is a parent class for the manager class. So ultimately, project manager will inherit all the property of employee class as well as manager class by inheriting only one class. So this way you can create the general structure of multi-level inheritance. Now let's assign some of the common attribute of all three class in one common class, that is employee class. So let me write it. So here I have created one init method in employee class which can contain the employee ID and the employee name. So as for your better understanding, I have created employee ID as a private attribute of the employee class and name as a public attribute. You can create it private, public as per your need. And I am using a print detail method to print the data of employee ID as well as you can print the name. But here I am creating print detail method to print the private member of the employee class. So here this is a employee ID is a private, and as you know that private data member can be accessed by only the method of the given class. So that's why I have created. Now let's write a init method in a manager class and assign some attribute which is specially for the manager class. And as you know that it will inherit employee ID and name from the employee class. So here I have created an init method which will assign department into particular manager. So here manager class has an attribute employee ID and name, and one extra special attribute is for department. So I am assigning department into that. Now the next thing is the last level of inheritance or last level of a class. This is a project manager class. So let me create an init method which will assign all the attribute which is common to all the above class and one special attribute, that is number of project or project handle. So here I have created init method which can assign the common attribute, as well as here I have created one extra attribute, that is project handle, which mentioned that how many projects that project manager is handle and the name of the project. And I will write one print method to print the detail of the project manager as well as employee. So here I have created a print detail method which will print the name, employee ID, department and project handle. Now let's create an object of a manager class, and using that manager class object I will assign the value of name, employee ID and all this thing into the project manager class. So let me create a object. So object 1 equal to project manager. Then I need to pass name, employee ID, department and project handle. So let me write the name of an employee, and here let me write the employee ID. So I am writing ID. Then department, let's say IT, and project handle. So project manager can handle multiple projects. So I am passing the list of the project. So I am assigning 2 projects in a list variable. So this is the list I am passing, that is training project, and the second one is a YouTube project. Now here I have created the object of that class. Now next I want to print the detail of project manager class using print detail. So let me just write object 1 dot print detail and empty bracket. Now let me save and run it. So you can see that the entire things are printed, that is name, ID, department and how many projects that project manager is handled. But you may have a question that how the different attributes are accessed from the parent class. So let me debug and show you. So put a debug breakpoint and go to the debug and run and debug and select the Python debugger and click it. So here your Python debugger is start. Then first this line will call Now if you expand that, first it will go to the manager class. Now from the manager class, it is calling the super class constructor. Now as you see that, what is a meaning of here super? So it will go to the parent class. So here it will go to the manager class init method. So here it will go. Now here again from the parent class of a project manager, it will call the parent class of manager. So here from I am assigning name and employee ID in the employee class. So here self dot name and employee ID is assigned. So let me here remove this and add the variable, and you can say name. Then also you want to add one more variable, that is department. So you can see that department will be assigned. Okay, then department IT is there. Then project handle. Okay, so how many project that person is handling, it will be assigned. Then it will call the print detail. So it will go to the print detail method. Then it will print the name. Now here I am accessing name attribute of an employee class in a project manager by writing this. Then I am calling the print detail method. Now why here I am not directly accessing the employee ID? Because employee ID is a private member, and if you try to access the private attribute in a child class, it will generate an error. I will show you this also. Okay, then it will print. Then I am calling the print detail of a super class, that is project manager parent class is a manager class. So here it will call the print detail. Now although here print detail method is not there, but here when employee class is inherited in a manager class, so automatically print detail method is there. So here it will print, and then it will print the department, and it will print the project handle. Then it will stop its execution. So this way you can see the execution. Now what if I try to access the private attribute in a derived class? Let me just put this in a comment line and show you. Print, then you can write, then write self dot underscore employee ID, and let me just go here, clear this and run it again. So you can see that error is generated, and it is saying that the project manager class does not have any attribute called employee ID. Why? Because employee ID is a private attribute of an employee class and you cannot access it. So you cannot access the private data member of a parent class in a child class. Now one more thing you need to understand, that if the employee ID is a protected data member, then you can access it. So let me just make it protected by writing one underscore and just write it, and here also I need to write one underscore and save it. Let me clear this and run it. So here it will be printed. But remember, it is always advisable to access the protected data member in a child class. It is not advisable to access the protected data member directly using the object. Let me show you how. If you write like this, print obj1 dot name, it is okay. Why? Because it is a public data member, so you can see that. But let's say if you write underscore employee ID, and if you save it and if you run it, it is printed, but it is not advisable. Why? Because it is a protected data member. So this way you can implement multi-level inheritance in Python, where it is useful. It is useful where you need to maintain the level of the code. That means there is one super class, there is one another child class, and that child class is considered it as a parent class. So here we can say that employee is a grandparent, then manager class is a parent class and a project manager class is a child class. So if this type of level is there, it is advisable to use multi-level inheritance in Python. Now it's time for interview question that can be asked based on multi-level inheritance. The first interview question can be, what is the difference between multi-level inheritance and single inheritance? So you can say that in single inheritance there is only one parent class and one child class, but in multi-level inheritance more than one parent class is there. So you can say that a derived class can be a parent class of the another child class. The second interview question can be, what can be the real life scenario where multi-level inheritance is applicable? So you can say that this is the scenario, that is you need to maintain the level of employee. Second scenario can be where if you are maintaining the e-commerce data where certain levels are there. So in this case also you can implement the concept of multi-level inheritance. The next scenario can be if you are managing the vehicle data. So here you can say that at the topmost vehicle class is there, and then at the second level you can say that a type of vehicle is class is there, and at the next level of the type of vehicle you can say that electric car or electric car vehicle, which can inherit the property of a type of vehicle and the vehicle class. So this can be the scenario where multi-level inheritance is a best fit. The next question can be, what can be the potential problem that may arise in multi-level inheritance? The answer of this question can be, if you are implementing multi-level inheritance and if you are changing in the parent class, so all the class which is inheriting that parent class or all the level may affect the code. So you need to take care of code modification. The next question can be, how multi-level inheritance affect the unit testing? Let me give the answer of this question. The answer can be, if too many levels are there in a multi-level inheritance, so if we test the individual class and if we are changing the code of the class, so cascading effect of that code may happen in another derived class. So unit testing is difficult if we are implementing multi-level inheritance. So I hope you understand how multi-level inheritance is working in Python object-oriented concept. You can comment your scenario where I can suggest you which type of inheritance is best fit for your given scenario. So comment your scenario in comment section and get your answer. Thank you for choosing KnowHow Academy as a source of your IT knowledge. We are always here to help you to navigate to the tech world. If you have any question, do not feel hesitate to reach out us. Stay curious, keep learning.